All right, everybody, welcome to a special edition of Teaching Crypto. Please hit that like, that subscribe bell button. Super chats and the store are open. People said September was going to be horrible, Mr. FOMO. It hasn't been. Welcome back to the show. Uh, we haven't quite found our launching pad yet that we're hoping for October. I think it's a bit early, but it is September 10th, and the bottom has not fallen out. It's not 88K like many people predicted, nor have we gone down below 100. Too early to celebrate, yes. But if we can just keep going sideways, and I actually think we're going to do better by the end of the month, the October into November rally, I think, will be epic and will finally pay off for as miserable as some of this bull run has been.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all we have left, right? Is the October, November rally, Pumptober or Uptober or whatever you want to call it. And so a lot of people are starting to lose faith in this. A lot of people are starting to worry that because the market is so diluted and so spread out, that there's not going to be an alt season. And to be honest with you, I'm one of them. So if this if this end of September, October into November doesn't work out, then I'm worried that we may not get an alt season and we may go into a bear without seeing our alts run.
Well, anything is possible. Listen, you have to be realistic. Some of these might not even go back to their all-time highs during this cycle. But as low as some of these are, I think there is definitely a chance for 70, 80% profits, a 2x from where they are right now. So what I'll say is this, if you have something and it goes up 2x from where it is now, even if you're barely taking profit or not even in the profit, you really have to consider just selling and taking what you can get in 2025. Hopefully you followed our advice and went heavy into Bitcoin and just dabbed into the alts a little bit, right? Percentage wise, I'm hoping everyone is 75 to 80% Bitcoin. To be brutally honest, we've had that show before.
At least 50.
Therefore, you took some gambles on these alts. Maybe some of them worked, maybe some of them didn't. You went a little ahead. You didn't make life-changing money, but you made enough to make, to at least come out green. And then Bitcoin is your big winner, right? And if you play it that way, we were telling people to buy Bitcoin at 20K, right? So that's the reality. We said in this bear market, man, we're in the 20s. Pick it up now. Thank us in 2 years. Well, if I'm right and we make that move over 150K, buying at 20, selling over at 150 in a little over 2 years, you can't beat that in many places. That's what I'm saying. You got to zoom out and you got to think about it. So this is just one person, Matthew Highland on X, and what he sees here is a weekly bullish divergence, and these type of moves have produced the largest. And he sees a looming one. He sees us headed towards 117, not in October, but September. So, if we could get to 117 and just go sideways, I would be thrilled leading into October. We'll talk about what's happening in October in just a little bit, but that would be huge. And I would feel way more comfortable about my 150 to 180 then if that could happen. I don't want to go down to 88 this month. And I don't think it's going to happen, but you never say never, right? Because September historically is not great. But I think what we're seeing here is we've already diluted ourselves from 124 to 107 during the holiday weekend a few weeks ago. And now there isn't as much sell pressure as people anticipated.
Yeah, I would agree on Bitcoin. We talked about that launch pad for October, and it's highly dependent on where we end up in September. And so I would agree. I hope that we get up to 117 or higher. That way, when we get into Pumptober, you see Bitcoin move way higher, like you said, closer to the 150 to 180 range rather than the 130 to 150 range. So, we talked about that launch pad before and how important it is that Bitcoin kind of maintain these 100, 110 to 120 area so that we can maximize our profits in October.
All right. Speaking of maximizing, how about this? Wells Fargo is now predicting that we're going to have 5 rate cuts between now and middle of 2026. And this is going to affect the markets at the end of 2025. Basically, there's no one that's an expert doesn't think a rate cut's coming at this point and
Mhm.
pretty soon. And so therefore, that's going to help, right? That's going to help. We have a question. Thanks for joining us. Happy Metal Vegan. We don't have any dates for Voyager Voyager recovery payments right now. None. I know we're going to get some news before the end of the year, but other than that, I can't tell you exactly what's. Look, there's a new head honcho, and they're kind of just taking their time. That people are not as mad as they used to be for several reasons. As time goes on, people forget and move on with their lives. They shouldn't. They should still demand more. But also, they did get 2 payments, and so I don't think the guy running it now will reach out, MrFOMO, is is in any hurry to do anything because there's not as much pressure as there used to be. Right? There's not shows like this giving out emails. Maybe we should phone calls because I think there's still money left on the table. Not as much as the last 2 payments, but something, and people deserve it. So I think thank you for bringing that to our attention. We should go in, contact the administrator, and see what he has to say because it's been kind of crickets recently.
Yeah. I will reach out to him. He has not been very communicative, not as much as the old um, plan administrator was. As nasty as those emails got, sometimes at least he was communicating with us. Um, so yeah, I wish we could get more information. So we'll reach out
I've
to him.
always said at this point, just grab everything and give everyone as much back as you can and close it out.
Yep.
The 3AC thing, like we've joked, MrFOMO is going to be a great grandfather before that's over. I mean, it is completely ridiculous. We're going to be on our deathbeds getting an update on 3AC. That's that. I mean, it's we're joking, but what are we going on with 3AC? Years. It's been. I mean,
Yeah.
at some point you got to call your losses and just move on. You're not. You know what I mean? You can only get so much from these guys anyway. It's not like they're multi billionaires anymore. So I would close everything down and give everyone whatever percentage is left and call it a day. But apparently, they're still trying to collect from 3AC. We'll see what happens.
Well, they're
Okay.
going to keep trying to collect from 3AC until that $110 million pot runs out. And then once that money runs out, they're going to stop trying to do anything.
Well, yeah, at some point, the administration is going to run out of money, which belongs, by the way, to the creditors. That's the sad part. Okay. So what's going on this week really quickly? You might see some volatility. We've got a couple things. Today we've got the PPI. Thursday we've got the CPI. And what can happen here is there could be a lot of manipulation leading up to right before the numbers are announced and after. So this could be interesting. Right now, Bitcoin's trying to make a climb back up towards 113. We're not quite there, but we're sitting at we're sitting in the low 112s. However, last night we went down to 111, even 110. This week we actually made it to 113, and that's kind of right now the resistance. But according to the charts, it's not a very heavy resistance. Again, I would love to see Bitcoin perform better than advertised. Honestly, if we can just stay in the 112 range, yeah, 117 would be great. I just don't want to have that free fall that a lot of people were predicting with 88K. The alts would really bleed once again. And even if you got a great October, you're at such a deficit with the alts, right? What are you going to
Mhm.
see? Even if some of these 2x, a ton of people would still be in the red. So I'm really hopeful here because the rate cuts are so imminent and I think people are more knowledgeable now that are left in the space. They know about the history of October at the end of bull runs. I don't think you're going to see a sell off unless there's some crazy news. And there's been some bad news around the world, and Bitcoin hasn't been affected.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these rate cuts and to see how Bitcoin responds and how the rest of the markets respond. I'm hoping that it's good. Like we talked about, that launching off point is going to be important. And who knows, a rate cut in September could spur, some shocking movement out of Bitcoin and, to the positive side. You never know.
All right, Tennessee, thank you for joining us. Great point. So that 4% back in BTC for that Coinbase card, my one question would be, is it 4% on all purchases? If so, not bad. And what is the security? Because now you're remember the Voyager situation with the Voyager card they were going to give that was tied to VGX. Obviously, Coinbase is a much bigger animal than Voyager ever was, but are they going to get people to be confident to put, their paychecks on there, convert it to USDC when it's not 100% right secured? What I mean by that is like money in your bank, if something happens, you're fine, right? It's insured. USDC is not. So my one question is, are you putting in dollars? Or are you putting in USDC? Because it makes a big difference, right, Mr. FOMO? We want to make our viewers aware.
Or is it a true credit card where you just spending their money and then paying it off later?
Yeah, if it's a true credit card and you're getting 4% back on every purchase, I think that's a home run. You don't have to worry about you at that point. That could be very interesting.
That
That's
would
a
be an
lot.
easy way to accumulate BTC. That's 4% on your purchases is a lot. Think about how much you'd be able to spend in a month. If you put all of your bills and everything on your credit card, 4% would end up giving you a lot of BTC in the end.
And at the end, over 4 and 8 years, if you play it right, you've accumulated a decent amount of BTC. When I've seen, look, I saw, you're going to laugh, Mr. FOMO. I saw a prediction, AI prediction, 2038. You want to guess the BTC price, 2038?
I saw it too. It's 1 billion.
Yep. Yep. I don't think that's happening. But look, I am adamant we're going to be alive, knock on wood, for the 1 million and the 10 million. You accumulate BTC leading up to 10 million, you're going to have a nice amount. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way around it. That is going to be life-changing money. Like that there I mean, yes, maybe the starter homes in the US are a million by then for sure, but it's still better than having nothing, which sadly a lot of Americans are going to be left out over the next 10 to 15 years. I just still amazes me the amount of people that don't know or are not into Bitcoin, that they realize things are going up, but they haven't done the digging, and they don't, you know what I mean? Look, we've got friends, and and you got people very close to you, Mr. FOMO. They don't understand what's happening. And that's it. I guess sometimes it hits you when you go to the grocery store and you just spent $300, and that used to be $150 during COVID 5 years ago. But
That's where it's hitting people right now. That's where most of the people that I know are complaining, and I try to explain to them that this is a result of your government printing money en masse and not doing anything to stop it.
And the reason why they're printing is not good.
No.
That's that, and we're not going to go further than that today. But that's the more we can educate people, the better. All right. So you guys, listen. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll be back later this week. Hopefully, we see an uptrend after these numbers are released. I want to see 117 the next time we get back on the air.